Welcome, Neo. As you may have guessed, I am Morpheus. Just kidding. What's happening, guys? How y'all doing? How y'all doing out there in the world? Welcome back to the Inner Storyteller. Welcome back to this channel and these channels, the Soul Expression channel and the Ufuluchild channel. It is indeed going to be a jolly, jolly good time. Please like the video, subscribe to the channels. It's free. It's a good Samaritan point for the day, for the week, for the year, New Year's resolution. Good Samaritan points. We're giving them out for free. Okay. All you got to do is like the video, especially in the first 10 minutes. Helps a lot. Super great. And subscribe to the channels because I want to one day monetize my podcast. And I can't do that if you don't subscribe. So here we go. If you are here, please know that you are here for real conversations about natural law, religion, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great, money, anarchy, culture, and how mankind is manipulated by forces that do not have our best interests at heart because they are completely evil. We are not bashing faith systems. I say we talk about religion, good, bad, and ugly. We are not bashing faith systems on this channel. We are simply examining the psychological affects and effects of the stories we have the most stake in, we have the most faith in, and how those stories shape modern society. That examination sits right alongside an honest look at the current human condition, which is slavery. Government is slavery. And the question we have to keep coming back to is what can be improved with a proper understanding of the inner storyteller and how it works. If any of that makes you a little uneasy, a little angry, a little offended, please know that you are encouraged to stay, but you are welcome to leave. And with that being said, today's topic is a philosophical map of the Inner Storyteller Part 2. You know, I wrote this philosophical map. Let me go ahead and share the screen there so you can see what I'm talking about and add it to the stage like that. I wrote this as a companion to the Inner Storyteller, the book. It's called The Inner Storyteller, A Philosophical Map. It says you have the power to rewrite the story that defines you. And, you know, I have the tree, little AI picture, and it's a cool little, cool little thing. We already went through this introduction and part 1. And today we're going to dive into part 2. You know what I'm saying? And talk about what the philosophical map maps out is the book, The Inner Storyteller. So but it's not just a, first we talk about this, then we move into that. It's a philosophical map. So we get into the sort of hidden structure of the chapters, why they're ordered in such a way, why, what builds on the last and stuff like that. So with this particular mini series inside this podcast, I highly suggest, if you have not watched a philosophical map part 1 video, go back in this same playlist. And I think I should probably just create this as its own playlist so that when I come back and do these, revisit this text, this companion book, and break down the concepts and break down what I'm talking about. In this context, we can just have a place where it's all in one place on the internet, on the interwebs. I think that's all the announcements and decisions that I have to make before diving in. So without further ado, my good people, let me check everything. Put on my Morpheus shades. right? Should I keep on the shades? Should I do the shades? Guys, let me know if I should do the shades. Oh, no one's here. Great. I will decide whether or not I take these off. I think I'm going to take them off. It's fine. Here we go. Subconscious controlled opposition. Now, the first thing that you should notice about this, you know, chapter is the title. What does that suggest to you? Please let me know in the comments. The title, subconscious controlled opposition. We've heard the term subconscious a bunch of times, right, on this channel, and just whenever you speak about the nature of the human being, this is something that comes up. We have a sort of a dynamic of a mind. We have a double mind. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. A subconscious mind is kind of like the mother mind, and the conscious mind is kind of like the son, the child mind, right? Whereas the father mind would probably be like, the spiritual guidance type of mind, if there was going to be a trinity made out of that analogy. But anyway, the point is that you have your conscious thoughts, and then you have this subconscious bank of like all your experiences in thought form, as well as all of your imaginations in thought form, because everything kind of gets like recorded, or at least the themes of such get recorded and stored in this subconscious mind. So they say, and it largely rings true, at least if we're not so rigid about definitions and things. We can kind of see something like that happens. So subconscious. Now, we also talked about on this channel, as well as in all freedom circles that I've ever been a part of, we talk about this concept, and just in general, these days, it's a hot topic: controlled opposition. What is controlled opposition? Right? And this combination of subconscious controlled opposition, this underbelly, not underbelly, this underlying and almost all permeating and much larger mind, where controlled opposition is influencing choices and behaviors. What does this title speak of to you when I combine controlled opposition with the subconscious? I just wanted to open that door and say, we're coming in hot from the first thing about the chapter, which is its title. Next, part 2 expands the manuscript's concern. Manuscript is just another word that I use for book. The manuscript's concern from spiritual contradiction to civilizational conditioning. Okay, I move from talking about the contradiction in part 1 into how we are conditioned from the external in, and then of course connect that to the inner storyteller as a philosophy. Once part 1 reveals that truth can be captured, this chapter widens the lens and shows how entire populations can be steered not just merely by force, but by narrative, through controlled opposition, moral inversion, and the management of meaning itself. I point to a few very popular examples and just gently connect them to something that we can all relate to, and then provide, why I think the world works the way that it does, as far as how narrative can be employed as a weapon, and done so successfully and so in our face, yet without being seen for what it truly is for most people in most of history. Only the very, very, very few see this game for what it really, really is. And, those that do are screaming on the internet that, hey, this game is like this. But you know, you know, today is what's today? Today's Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. Kids went to school today. I think it's not summer yet. Kids went to school today. Government school, right? Anyway, once part one reveals that truth can be captured, this chapter widens the lens and shows how entire populations can be steered not merely by force, but by narrative, through controlled opposition, moral inversion, and the management of meaning itself. Here, the manuscript pushes beyond the surface level political analysis and insists that history cannot be understood through facts, timelines, and personalities alone, but only through moral causality, study of natural law, and consequence, cause and effect. Whatever you want to call cause and effect. The question is no longer merely what happened, right? When it comes to part two in the book. Question isn't just what happened. The question is not just who appeared to oppose what, right? And if they can be trusted. No, it's not the question. Question is, what deeper pattern made the repetition driving the information into our subconscious, collective subconscious, possible in the first place? What deeper pattern, what deeper behavioral pattern made that repetition possible? And where they from? Where did it come from? Simple question. Oh, hey, back up, camera. Back up, cuz. All right. I hope my face wasn't that close for very, very long. I'm going to laugh very loud if I watch this replay and I'm just right here for super duper long. Anyway, let's get back to my script here. Now, part two marks a bit of an escalation from part one in this way. Part two shows how systems of control do not survive only by suppressing truth outright, but by redirecting it, containing it, ritualizing the dissent through controlled opposition, and feeding people narratives that feel like resistance, but are not resistance because they leave the underlying structure, government, fully intact. You can hate the person sitting in the seat. You can hate the bureaucratic structure of how they get to the seat or how they get such power. You can hate the next person lined up to sit in the seat if your person doesn't win, or you can hate all the persons that could win, as long as you don't think it's time that we stop playing the game government, the game called government, altogether, because it's not real. It's not natural. It's not in nature. You can't lift up a rock and say, here's government right here in nature. Here's the government. You can't. It's made up. Right? All of the violence, all of the shooting people in the street, all of the ICE agents getting caught impregnating people underage, allegedly, that, has been confirmed in the news very recently. All of it is just made up nonsense. But I digress. We don't have to keep being obedient to the system. We don't have to keep running the same story. The technology is here. The land is here. You know, the rule that you're not allowed to plant food and stuff, it's just that's not real, right? It's real because we all say yes, okay, you know, tell me what to do. That's what we do, right? I laugh because I don't want to cry. Laugh because I don't want to cry. Anyway, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but y'all get what I'm talking about. Don't act like you don't. So, controlled opposition. Controlled opposition is therefore revealed not merely as a tactic of governments, media, or institutions, but also as one of the deepest technologies of social management, the shaping of perception so that rebellion itself can be anticipated, softened, and folded back into the system it appears to challenge. The shaping of perception so that rebellion itself can be anticipated, softened, and folded back into the system it appears to challenge. The kids went to school this morning. Respectfully. Respectfully. No disrespect. Okay? It's just true. Okay? But the chapter does not stop at exposing outer structures. It presses further inward. Part 2 begins revealing that the deepest form of controlled opposition is subconscious. This is where, this is the chapter I do that. The ways human beings absorb false framing and storytelling, the way that we internalize our obedience, make it like it's our idea on the inside, and become participants in our own misalignment to truth. And we do this by choosing comfort and choosing fear, right? Choosing passivity over choosing conscious attention and response, with wisdom. Instead of choosing wisdom, basically, instead of choosing conscience, we choose fear. In this way, this chapter serves as a bridge between the contradiction introduced in part 1 and the more intimate narratives of the mechanics of part 3 of storytelling in general. Part 3 goes super hard on everything. It teaches the reader to look beneath official stories. What does that mean? Well, dear viewers, it means to me that we don't look to the institutions for the answers to how we should govern our own behavior, right? We look to wisdom and learn and experience and learned harmony with each other, how to govern ourselves internally, how to be self-governing. We learn through our experience and our gained wisdom, earned wisdom through trying and failing and trying again and recording the results in some kind of memory and using that memory to make better choices again and again, even if you fail, right? That is the mechanism for learning how to govern oneself, is experiencing life and being conscious about it, right? which is why all of the technologies that people call distractions, and that, older generations are yelling at younger generations about how distracted they are. All of the technologies make us less and less conscious of the world around us and of the people around us. Where's the lie? So, Part 2 aims to teach the reader to look beneath the official stories. We don't have to listen to the official stories. Okay. And I don't just mean what's on the news. I mean the official spiritual stories, the official moral stories, the official um, fictional entertainment stories, the ones that are sanctioned, uplifted by them necessarily, the official stories regarding government, obviously, regarding man's authority, obviously, regarding how costumes grant authority and how degrees and, you know, um, proving yourself by bending over backwards to cram information into your head, to kiss the ring of somebody at a graduation ceremony, and now you suddenly have authority over other people's decision making or whatever, because that's how the universe really works. That kind of thing. Those official stories we don't have to accept. That's what part 2 is all about. Um, to look beneath the public conflict and beneath even your own first interpretations. Part 2 goes deep into that. Look beneath your first interpretations of what's happening around you. Be aware of yourself as you become more and more aware of how the world actually works as far as policy and banking and um, control, psyops and these things, right? The more that you become aware of them, you need to become aware of yourself, your faults, your weaknesses, where you were wrong as far as your social interactions in your past, who deserves forgiveness. All of these things you need to be aware of. All right. Of course, though, you knew that already. You don't need me for that. You ain't come here for that. You came here so I can finally finish this one sentence that has like a billion commas in it, but it's so beautifully written. Uh, where I say you have to do these, you have to reflect on not accepting the official stories, looking beneath public conflict and beneath your first interpretations until the question becomes not only who is managing meaning out there, but what inner story has made us vulnerable to repeating their version? What inner story has made us vulnerable to repeating what they are making into meaning? That's the question, guys. That's the question. Because I'm no longer telling myself stories that compromise my position on this. On this front, on right and wrong, I'm not compromising myself. And therefore, I'm no longer telling myself stories that repeat things we hear from them. It's not going to happen. So, where do we go from here, good people? Well, it is indeed Tuesday, a grand Tuesday. I hope you are enjoying whatever day of the week you see this episode. It has been fun, and I hope to see you tomorrow in the next one. Peace and love.